we are going to look at the anatomy notes. So you should have this open in Canvas. The first ones are all bones. The cranium is skeletal. The body system is skeletal. The round bones surrounding the brain, they actually fuse together. You have more of those when you're born than when you're an adult. So it's skeletal. Many bones fuse together to form the cranium. It protects the brain from harm. Don't worry about the colors right now. That's just what color you're going to color them on a diagram, on a coloring diagram like we did with the cells. The maxilla is the upper teeth, the bone that holds in your upper teeth. So it's skeletal, it's the upper lip bone, and it holds the upper teeth. The next one, is the, let me get this up as far as I can here. Okay. The next one is the mandible. That is your jawbone. It's skeletal. It says jawbone. Holds the lower teeth and allows for chewing. The next one is a vertebra. So real quickly on this, you have the cranium, you have the maxilla, the mandible. Vertebrae, skeletal. A stack of vertebrae make up the spine. Flexes and holds the body upright. Each one has a hole in it for the spinal cord to go through. So you can't see the ones that are inside the ribs, but all of these stacked up, they're all vertebrae, and you've got a bunch of them, and they're stacked up. Between them, there are little pads called discs that makes you be able to be flexible. Clavicle, skeletal. The other word is a collarbone. It kind of sticks out, you know, right by your neck. It supports your shoulder. There are some animals that don't have a clavicle. Those animals can fit through very small areas. So let's see, the clavicle right there. Scapula, skeletal. The shoulder blade in the back. It supports the shoulder. You can't really, this is a front view, but you can kind of see it. It's where your arm goes into. And that's back there. The rib, skeletal. Several ribs make a cage around the chest. Protects lungs and heart and other important anatomy. So the ribs are right here. And you have a lot of them. Some of them are called floating ribs. You see these ones in the back aren't really attached to anything. Sternum, skeletal. The bone in the center of the front of the rib cage allows the ribs to flex so you can breathe. If your ribs wouldn't flex, you wouldn't be able to breathe. That's the reason when you break a rib, they can't really cast you because you'd suffocate. But the sternum is right in the middle. Humerus, skeletal. It's the upper arm. It's spelled different than funny, just so you know. It's the upper arm. I don't think there's really anything else. Some of these are blank on the function because it's the upper arm. I didn't really know what to write in there. Radius, skeletal. It's the larger lower arm bone. There are two lower arm bones so you can twist your hand. It's so you can do this. If there was only one, you couldn't do this motion. Ulna, skeletal. Smaller lower arm bone. So one of the problems with many of these diagrams is it's hard to tell which one is the big one and which one is the small one. And in the picture, it's hard to tell whether your hand is like this or like this, especially when there's no skin on the hand. So as a general rule, you need to know that the ulna is the bigger one and the radius is the smaller one. But unless it's obvious in the picture, I won't ask you which one is which. Let's see. Carpals, skeletal. Wrist bones, there are 8 of these. I'm going to go on down a little bit. Hopefully you're caught up at least that much. Carpals, those are the bones in here. There are 8 of those. Metacarpals, skeletal. Hand bones, not fingers. Sometimes when you look at, and we'll look at the diagram here in a second, people mistake the metacarpals for fingers, and they aren't. They are not finger bones. They're literally in your hand. I guess I may as well go show you the the metacarpals, because phalanges are the finger bones, but I don't think we do those until the toes. So the carpals are right in here. The metacarpals are right here. If you notice, your fingers have 2 joints, 3 bones in your fingers. So if you go 3 bones down your fingers, the next one would be your metacarpal because it's in your hand. Pelvis, skeletal, a circular bone that is at the base of your spine. That's your butt. Supports your body. It has a joint in front that dissolves, allowing the pelvis to be more flexible for birthing. That would only obviously happen in females. But this is your pelvis, and it is round, and it goes like it's 3-dimensional, and this is a 2-dimensional picture. But that joint is right there that dissolves. Makes pregnant women clumsy because their body is not supported as well. Okay, coccyx, tailbone, it's skeletal. Tailbone, the bone at the end of your spine. If you look at the picture, it's way down here. Tailbone, some of you might have fallen and hit your tailbone. Doesn't feel very good. Femur. Femur, skeletal. The largest bone in the body, your upper leg bone. Your upper leg bone. Femurs are one of the bones I collect. So maybe I'll get those out and show those to the classes. Let's see, your upper leg bone. Tibia, the larger of the lower leg bones. You have 2 lower leg bones. The fibula is skeletal. And it's the smaller of the lower leg bones. The patella is skeletal. It's your kneecap. You are not born with kneecaps. They develop. Babies can crawl like mad across the floor because they don't have kneecaps. It says babies do not have kneecaps. They develop later. Let's see. All right, let me get these leg bones. So I can show you. Femur, largest bone in the body. When you break it, it's a big deal. The patella is right there. You have 2 of those. Well, you have 2 femurs as well. It's usually easy to tell which is the large leg bone and which is the small leg bone. So I will be asking you which one's the tibia and which one's the fibula. The big one is the tibia. The small one is the fibula. Okay, moving on. Whoops. Tarsals, skeletal. Those are your ankle bones. You have 7 of those. The metatarsals, again, all these we've done so far are skeletal. The bones of the foot, the top of your foot, and again, not your toes. Now, we get to the last bone. Phalanges are skeletal. They are the bones in your fingers and toes. If you were going to med school or even nursing school, they would probably teach you the name of each one, but it says there are 3 in each finger and 2 in each toe. Your toes help in balance. Your fingers help to grasp. I don't know why that says this twice. Your toes help to balance, but it does say that twice. But anyway, the tibia, the fibula, the metatarsals, the tarsals, and the phalanges. And then, of course, phalanges are up here. How I remember the difference between carpals and metacarpals and tarsals and metatarsals. Tarsals, toes. That's how I remember it. So the tarsals would be in your feet, and the metatarsals would be in your feet, and the carpals and metacarpals would be in your hand. Again, the hand bones are the metacarpals. They're in your hand. The phalanges are your fingers. Your metatarsals are on the top of your foot, and then the phalanges are your toes. We're going to cut this off here and go to another movie.